Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for deciding to take time out of your day to watch me yap about music. Today we're going to be looking at my favorite underrated albums from each continent. I tried to make a list of my favorite albums from each continent, but it got way too bloated, so I thought while I'm working on a bigger project I can just do a laid back video looking at smaller albums and artists. I'd like to give a shout out to Seed of Wonder on Rachel Music, who has been supporting me from the start on both Rachel Music and YouTube, and who also suggested the idea for this video today. I'll leave a link in the description so you can follow him on Rachel Music. Not gonna act like my videos are usually organized, but this one may be more scattered than usual, just because, like I said, I'm working on a long project that's taking quite a bit of time and research, but I think you guys will enjoy that one, and I hope you enjoy this too. We may as well start with the motherland. And most of these albums are gonna have stories attached to them, especially for Africa, because I like building connection with albums, and especially South African albums, because I'm from there. So the first album we can start with is Shelter by Alice Phoebe Lou. Shelter is a dreamy blend of folk, bedroom and indie pop that focuses on texture and embedding emotion. Shelter feels like a warm yet lonely autumn day. Its lush arrangements create a mellow atmosphere, and some tracks even have hints of lounge music's accessible and comfortable sound. This album is excellent for when you're missing someone or just have it in the background when guests are over. Clocking in at 30 minutes and 47 seconds and having a mere 741 ratings on Rachel Music, I think it deserves much more recognition. Moving on, Makunku Quartet Yakal Nkomo is another South African album, a jazz masterpiece that is both seductive and soothing, playful and pretty. With 4 tracks mixing hard bop and modal jazz, its acoustic soundscape is complemented by the remarkably crisp production for the time. This record reminds me of waiting for hours in a hospital after my mother's surgery caused a collapsed lung last month. I wish the bonus track that was added on the 2007 reissue, titled Spring, made the record. 11 minutes of what could have been a perfect standout. Unfortunately, I listen to much too little African music because I only have one album left of this segment, and that would be The Offering by Thandi Ntuli. Smooth, soulful jazz that often features Thandi vocalizing over the intimate instrumentals. This record made me fall in love with jazz after never understanding it. I listened to this while reading, and the light, airy sound comforted me through an admittedly challenging period. The Offering is very piano-centric, and that was perfect for me at the time. The song Love Remembers has a skillful and dominant piano that marries with the light additives of texturizing cymbal crashes and melodic saxophone that grows into a more complex display. Love Remembers will always be one of my favorite jazz songs, and it will always be my first favorite song of the genre. Let's get into Europe now. And I do not know how this is going to be my first time talking about Carry On the Grudge by Jamie T on this channel. It is easily, well, I say easily, but I have 3 albums that are tied for my favorite album of all time. But this is one of those 3. I can talk about this album all day long, but what really sticks with me is the day when I discovered Jamie T. It's one of those moments where you think such a little thing affected your life forever. My dad just told Alexa to play, and Jamie T Sticks and Stones started playing, and I instantly fell in love, and he became my favorite artist. And the day I listened to Carry On the Grudge for the first time, it was still during the time I listened to NF and Alec Benjamin, 5 Seconds of Summer, stuff like that, and I got up around 4:30 in the morning to play a new FIFA season, and I was listening to Drifting by NF. Limits Lie by Jamie T came on play next, and I was mind blown by the dreamy, almost shoegaze sound that I didn't expect from him. So I checked the record out, and it's one of the most diverse, eclectic albums I've heard in my life. You go from singer-songwriter to atmospheric shoegaze, dream pop, post-punk revival, folk. There's everything you could want on this album. I will say right now, it is better than anything Arctic Monkeys ever have released and ever will release. Thank you very much. I love every song on this album, but Trouble is a song that takes a while to get used to. It's very, I guess the word is straight up goofy. It's quite cringe and cheesy, but once you get past it, it's endearing. The next album is one of the first albums that I discovered from Rachel Music and instantly loved. It's The Ha by Black Foxes. The Ha feels like waking up from a bad dream and then realizing that your bad dream is probably better than your current situation. It's another eclectic album, with the opening track being a depressive piano ballad, the following being an upbeat in-your-face one, and then the vocal performances being very direct and almost operatic in a beautiful way. I'll warn you to prepare a tissue box for when you listen to this album. It weighs down on you heavily. It's full of anxiety-inducing moments from the post-rock elements and also extremely melancholic segments. But it is completely worth it for the beautiful atmosphere. I'll also say the vocals are quite theatrical and over the top, so if that's not your cup of tea, just prepare for that as well. Here's an album I never shut up about on Rachel Music, Hysterical Strength by Dead Letter. One of the greatest meshes of jazz and punk of all time. The passionate lyrics and victorious vocals, combined with the complementary, energetic music, makes for such an exciting listen. The saxophone feels so natural in a very unorthodox environment, and the steady drumming has hints of jazziness too. A Haunting and Deus Ex Machina are punk songs for the ages. This album is a little more known, but if you like the Velvet Underground, you need to hear it. It's Sound of Confusion by Spaceman 3. Jason Pierce of Spiritualized makes his Velvet Underground inspiration evident on this record, with the droning and noisy guitars that hit you in your face constantly, and brilliant druggy lyrics, psychedelic sounds, and references to Jesus constantly. I'm sure if you love Slowdive, you'd know about them, but if you're a fan of dream pop, Mojave 3's Ask Me Tomorrow is a wonderful listen. If you know anything about me, you'd know my love for alt country. This record incorporates country-tinged instrumentation with wintry ethereal vibes. From the cover alone, you can tell you're in for an experience. The most underrated album on the entire video is Dulcie Hill's Velveteen. Velveteen is also a fantastic song by Always, by the way. An obscure French duo managed to manufacture the best art pop shoegaze hybrid I've ever heard. Catchy, airy, dreamy, and fun. It has everything you'd ever need. It integrates thunderous post-rock flavors, making for an ever-changing, memorable, and hypnotic 44 minutes. The Dross Dream is one of the greatest songs I've ever heard. This album has 32 ratings on Rachel Music, and the band haven't released since 2018, so maybe if we all come together and play it, they'll have motivation to come back. North America is going to start off with The Art of Tea by Michael Franks, and this album has the most even ratio of beautiful sounds and disgusting lyrics I've ever heard. There's also some funny ones, like on the song Monkey See Monkey Do. He says, "Every night we fuss and fight like Arabs and Jews," which as a Jew is pretty accurate if you ask me. But then there's a song called Popsicle Toes, and I'm not sure what to make of that. But this album is some of the most fantastic smooth pop, jazz pop, and soul fusions I've ever heard in my life, and I definitely recommend it for fans of Sade and Steely Dan as well. Since Elmo's Fire, I Don't Know Why I'm So Happy, I'm Sad, Jive, and Mr. Blue are all some of the greatest written songs I've ever heard. So like I say, you never know what you're going to get with this album. It is fantastic all the way through, except I have no problem if you skip Eggplant and Popsicle Toes. I struggle to get through it, and I've been listening to this album like crazy lately. Harvey Danger are much more than a one-hit wonder, and their album King James Version is a perfect display of that. It's a power pop masterpiece, and they even mention Morrissey and the Smiths multiple times. It's sarcastic, misanthropic, and full of fun. Pike Street Park Slope is such a lovely combination of funny lyrics and beautiful instrumentation. It is genuinely a great album, and I've seen lots of people hating on it, and I don't understand why. It's an overlooked gem of 2000s indie rock. I understand when people say they don't like when song structures get thrown out the window, but I don't think you can listen to Them Crooked Vultures and think they did a bad job. The uncommon progressions and transitions are strangely smooth, the frantic drumming is on point, and the songs are about as heavy as you can get while still being classed as rock music. Many of you will know my admiration for when slacker rock and alternative rock get fused, and Pacer by The Amps is a perfect example of this beauty. We listened to this album while crossing the US border from Canada, and everyone in the car loved it, even my mom who doesn't like loud music too much. Kim Deal did an excellent job on vocals, and the bass playing, guitar work, and noisy atmosphere is fantastic. The Breeders have some of the crispest production ever, and this album sounds like if they forgot how to produce, and it works majestically. My favorite hip-hop album of the year so far is Ego Trip by John Michelle and Anthony James, a psychedelic chipmunk soul album that focuses on maximalist instrumentation and production and boastful lyrics, as well as including Christian themes, which I always love. The song One Way miraculously includes a texturizing guitar, which sounds so in place for such an out-of-place feature. The triumphant and energetic vocals make you feel like you're on top of the world while you're listening to this. The first album representing South America is Exposição Popular by Guerinha, a smooth jazz fusion album that highlights calming ambience and atmosphere while incorporating standout features which wouldn't be out of place in a hypnagogic pop record. En Cielo de Oceano by Sylvania is a reverb-drenched shoegaze album that, along with the romantic Spanish vocals, embeds a deep, hypnotic and ethereal feeling. Psychedelia and ambience are prominent features, causing for a record that's heavy in some ways and airy in others. Under the Shadow of a Foreign Sun by Pia Mater was a record that really got me into prog and death metal. It was the first band that hit me the way Opeth did, and this record instills such a daunting sensation. The poetic lyrics abstractly complement the destructive uncommon time signatures. This technical and mellow tone teleports you to the narrator's world and presents a dark and longing cry for help. People hate on this album for being derivative of its influences, but they're the same people who call any long and crushing prog metal songs Opethcore. Okay, I'm going to cheat a little bit for Asia, because I don't listen to enough albums from there, but the next record is Brighter Later by Nick Drake. Brighter Later is one of a few albums that got jazz to finally click for me. I know Nick Drake is more known than most on this list, but Brighter Later is always considered his worst, and I could never understand it. No album that has both of the Hazy Janes, Northern Sky, At the Chime of a City Clock, and Poor Boy couldn't be a masterpiece. Drake's unusual vocals that merged with his Bob Dylan-level poeticism convey more emotion than almost any artist I've ever heard, bar maybe Morrissey and Jeff Buckley, but let's not get into my opinion on Grace, cause that will upset some people. Inside the Cable Temple by Omnipotent Youth Society is one of the most unique albums I've ever heard. It's a Chinese jazz and prog hybrid that incorporates folky guitars with satisfying finger-picked layers. And I'm not great at listening to non-English and non-Afrikaans albums, but the vocals are used as an atmospheric element, almost symphonically creating cheerful or emotional aura, depending on the song. Lastly, another sneaky one is FTHC by Frank Turner, the only album that can go from punk to heartland rock, alt rock to post-hardcore, then back to singer-songwriter and folk. Turner's witty writing and eclectic energy make for such a fun and at times emotional listen. Love Iron Song is another great album of his. Oceania begins with Secrets of the Future by Australian band Relica, a one-of-a-kind new prog, gent and metalcore album. Although it can be corny at times with the rap metal attempts, the vocals are unbelievably powerful. It's one of those albums that you learn to appreciate its minor quirks, because its entirety is emotive excellence. 12-4 by The Paper Kites is one of the only albums that somewhat matches the Steely Dan sound that I'm obsessed with. Effortless melodies surrounded by warm and psychedelic alt-country sophisti-pop fusions and lyrics that make you sob. Songs like Renegade and Electric Indigo are funky and a blast, while Revelator Eyes is slightly more soothing. Then A Silent Cause brings those previously mentioned tears. The vocals also kinda sound like if Ed Sheeran had a good voice and was Australian. Howling Bells, self-titled, has some of the most beautiful and haunting vocals ever. I found this while searching for an album that makes me feel the same way that The Natural Bridge by Silver Jews does, but I left feeling mind-blown by the flirtatious singing and rustic instrumentation. It feels slightly inconsistent as a whole, but it's worth it just for the fourth song called Broken Bones. The last album we'll be looking at before we move on to Antarctica is Illusion of Choice by Whoopee Cat. Picture yourself sitting in a honky-tonk. A prog band that's clearly high as hell and have never played blues before are about to get up on the stage. The bartender tells them they gotta play blues or get out, and they cook the most beautiful and whiskey-reeking blues you've ever heard in your life. That's what this album is. 8 songs of psychedelic bluesy hard rock that's always do a re-listen. Also, their name is Whoopee Cat. What more do you want? My favorite album from Antarctica is Thank you for watching the video and listening to me talk about some underrated albums from around the world. If you enjoy any of the albums, please let me know which ones and what you thought of them. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, and comment as well. If you have any video idea suggestions, you can also comment and I'll most likely do it. God bless you and have a great day.